The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project has sued Nigeria's 66 governors and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja. They were sued for allegedly failing to account for the spending of trillions of Federation Accounts Allocation Committee allocations collected by their state and the FCT since 1999. And this was contained in a release on Sunday by SERAP's Deputy Director, Kolawole Oluwadare. It added that the lawsuit followed reports that FAC disbursed 1.123 trillion naira to federal, state and local governments for March 2024. They shared 1.208 trillion naira in April. It's noted that states collected 398.6 billion naira in March and 403.4 billion naira in April. And the suit filed last Friday at the Federal High Court in Abuja, SERAP asked the court to direct and compel the governors and the FCT minister to publish spending details of the FAC allocations collected by them, including the list and locations of projects executed with the money. No date has been fixed for the hearing of the suit. Jos residents in Plateau State's capital are still confronted with scarcity of petrol, despite promises by the nation's petroleum company, NNPCL. Our correspondent Chizoba Anyanwe was on the streets of Jos to feel the pulse of citizens and files in this report.
This is what major roads in Jos City look like these days. The usually very busy roads of Yakubugo One Way, Amadu Bello Way, and Bank Road see less traffic now. Many residents prefer to leave their vehicles at home, boarding public transport, which become cheaper at the end of the day. At the petrol stations, people spend many hours and most times go back home without buying the product after contributing to the unbelievable queues even on double lanes of major roads.
As in my case, I've been here since 6 o'clock in the morning. Now I think it's to 3 or so. I've not even gotten fuel. And the way it seems, it's as if I'm not going to get. I'm not sure of getting fuel today.
Been here for an hour or two and I've not gotten. I don't even have a hope of getting it. I don't know if I will even get the fuel at the end of it.
The removal of subsidy on petrol by the federal government forced the pump price to rise beyond 300%. As the people grapple with the realities of the ripple effect of the high cost of petrol, the pumps in many petrol stations run dry, or so it seems. This is contrary to several promises made by the government and its agencies.
All the filling stations have been shut down, except for the few, this one, and then probably I passed one mobile around Challenge Bookshop. All of them have been down.
They are not bringing down to the normal price that will land the federal government has ordered that it should come down. But they are not helping matters at all. So as a result of that, in this NNPC now is choke. It's choke because the price is less.
Some illegal traders of this same commodity make use of the opportunity to enrich their pockets. Plateau State government has responded to the harsh realities in the transportation sector with the commissioning of 15 metro buses. But the question on the lips of many is, how effective are the buses in addressing the deep issues of petrol scarcity and the attending high cost of transportation?
The essence of these metro bus services that you're seeing is to curtail the suffering that is being faced by people, most especially in the cost of fueling of the means of transportation.
I want to believe that it will be a great relief to motor owners, that they will need to really think twice and reduce the number of traffic on the road by parking their vehicles to join this bus.
Few days from now, Nigerians will be marking 1 year of the administration of President Bola Tinubu and many state governors alike. Citizens will be sharply divided in assessing the achievements of government with the heavy burden of high cost of living hanging on their neck. Many hope that the last 1 year was sufficient for all the trials and mistakes as they approach the second year of government with anticipation of better days. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anyanwe.
Let's also tell you that the federal government may soon reduce its annual fuel import bill of approximately 6.2 trillion naira. This potential savings hinges on the anticipated commencement of premium motor spirit sales by the Dangote Petroleum Refinery, as announced by Aliko Dangote, chairman of the Dangote Group. And speaking at the Africa CEO Forum Annual Summit in Kigali, Rwanda, Dangote assured Nigerians that starting next month, the country would no longer need to import petrol. This move follows the removal of fuel subsidy by President Bola Tinubu on May 29 last year, which had already cut Nigeria's petrol imports to an average of 1 billion litres monthly, according to the National Bureau of Statistics. The $20 billion Dangote refinery is set to meet the petrol and diesel needs of West Africa and the aviation fuel demands of the entire continent. If Dangote's assurances come to fruition, Nigeria could see a substantial reduction in its yearly expenditure on petrol imports. A prominent chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, Osita Okechukwu, has urged President Bola Tinubu to recapitalize and nationalize Nigeria's electricity sector. Okechukwu asserts that such measures are critical or crucial for the nation's economic growth and industrial development. And speaking during an interview, Okechukwu described the privatization of the electricity sector as disastrous, citing increased energy prices, job losses, and factory closures. The former Director General of the Voice of Nigeria believes the only viable solution to save the sector and bolster the economy is through recapitalization and restructuring. Reflecting on past warnings, Okechukwu criticized the privatization process under People's Democratic Party-led government. He highlighted a lack of transparency, noting the absence of foreign direct investment and participation from foreign investors. Okechukwu's remarks come as a critical call to action for the administration, emphasizing the need for strategic reforms to ensure sustainable energy and economic progress. The importance of a dependable and competitively priced power supply for economic growth cannot be overemphasized, and stakeholders in Nigeria have consistently underpinned the significance of this if Nigeria is fully to unleash its business potentials. Despite this, current conditions have left many entrepreneurs still struggling with the limitations of insufficient and costly power. In this report, our correspondent, Ni Omoniyi, examines the issue.
The recent announcement of new electricity tariff drew mixed reactions from Nigerians. While some business owners acknowledged that power supply marginally improved, others complained that the increase is unjustifiable given the general poor state of electricity infrastructure and the country's harsh economic realities.
There's lights, yeah, but the tariff is not helping the business. It's really not helping the business.
There's too many load to carry at this one time, so I think the government should take it a bit easy. The end users will suffer for it, and if they're not careful, a lot of us will go out of business.
If they say 15%, let them pay as much as possible, as close to the cost of production and this transmission and distribution of the energy that they are consuming. I don't think there is anything wrong in that.
With businesses continually grappling with high production costs due to the frequent power outages and fluctuations, alternative power sources like fuel and diesel power generators have practically become mainstay for many companies to run their operations. However, the rising cost of fuel has made this option more expensive, especially for local manufacturers.
The light issue is not really good at all. It's something that you have to support it with the diesel. We run gen almost like 5 hours, 6 hours.
And the cost structure of power in an average manufacturing company is between 30% to 40%. So when that percentage of your costs escalates by about 200, 300, 400%, you have a major problem in your hands.
Government is taking steps to address the power crisis, including investing in infrastructure upgrades and cutting electricity exports to focus on meeting domestic demand.
There was a new approval for a 93-kilometer transmission line in the southeast. There is also an approval for 15 numbers of earthing transformers and earthing reactors to strengthen the grids. You understand? And We also got approval for emergency restoration systems.
We will need to increase the infrastructure now and again, increase the asset base now and again. But that is predicated on the availability of liquidity.
The inadequate power supply remains a major impediment to the growth of businesses in the country, as the unstable power supply also leads to disrupted operations and losses of perishable goods and raw materials. Stakeholders call for increased private sector participation, improved regulatory oversight, and further investment in renewable energy to achieve stable and affordable electricity for businesses. In Lagos for News Central, Ni Omoni.
The government is taking a unique approach to curb the increasing incidents of electricity tower vandalization in Nigeria's Yobe state. Concerned by the impact of these criminal activities on the power supply, the state government has engaged Islamic clerics to seek divine intervention. Our correspondent Umaru Kirawa tells us more.
Electricity towers, which are important components of the state's power infrastructure, have been the target of unknown miscreants, leading to frequent power outages and significant economic consequences for the people of Yobe.
You can see household spendings, what they're supposed to use for foodstuff, to buy gas or fuel, just to charge their phones and use it for their daily activities. So I think the effect of this vandalization is numerous.
We are praying and hoping that the restoration should take place in time so that people will just have access to potable water.
People now queue up to access water in some selected points, as small and medium-scale businesses in communities also suffer retrogressive consequences of the electricity tower vandals. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, the state government, under the leadership of Governor Mai Malabuni, has decided to enlist the help of religious leaders to seek divine intervention and punishment for the perpetrators of this vandalism incident.
We are here this morning as part of a spiritual exercise to counter the people that are vandalizing the 330 kV line that supplies electricity to Damaturu, Yobe State Capital, and also Borno State.
The clerics have been tasked with reciting verses from the Holy Quran, invoking God's wrath and punishment on the perpetrators of these acts.
We are going to improve our social cohesion. What I mean by social cohesion, the host community, where these towers has passed through. We are going to engage them to show them the importance of these towers.
The state government believes that involving religious leaders will help deter potential vandals and send a strong message that their actions will not be tolerated.
We have appealed to the communities around to take ownership of all this infrastructure because they have also suffered and they are still suffering because they are suffering water shortage, they are suffering heat, they are suffering lack of even cold drinking water is not available in the state now.
Residents are now hopeful that the spiritual approach will complement the ongoing law enforcement efforts and bring an end to the scourge of electricity tower vandalism in the state. In Damaturu for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
And now to politics. The Independent National Electoral Commission has been accused by the new Nigeria's People Party of excessive meddling and taking sides in the party's internal leadership dispute. The party further recommended that INEC chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, investigates the staff members' purported presence at its breakaway group convention, even though they were served with a court order contesting it. Shortly after the general elections in 2023, the party experienced a crisis when Rabiu Kwankwason, the former governor of Kano State and presidential candidate, was expelled by the Board of Trustees under the leadership of Boniface Aniebonam for allegedly engaging in anti-party actions. After Kwankwason visited President Bola Tinubu at the presidential villa following his inauguration, there was a suspension since it was believed that the former governor was interested in becoming a minister. The federal government has dismissed the emerging alliance between former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi. The presidency assured that President Bola Tinubu remains unperturbed by the potential coalition, emphasizing that he is not losing sleep over the development. This dismissal comes on the heels of a private meeting held last week in Abuja, where Obi and Atiku, alongside several other prominent PDP leaders, discussed potential political strategies. Obi further engaged in separate discussions with former Jigawa State Governor Sule Lamido and ex-Senate President Bukola Saraki, fueling speculation about a possible coalition ahead of the 2027 general election. In a recent interview, Atiku, who ran for president in 2023 on the PDP platform and lost, highlighted that his meeting with Obi could be a precursor to a broader alliance aimed at the next electoral cycle. Nigeria's Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, urged the national leadership of the All Progressive Congress to ensure that the current members of the National Assembly and state legislatures retain their position in 2027. Abbas argued that lawmaking needs experience, hence the need to ensure continuity. He called on the APC National Chairman, Abdullahi Ganduje, to use his office to address the high turnover rates at the National Assembly and state houses of assembly. Abbas spoke in Kaduna at the Northwest APC Stakeholders Forum, according to a statement on Sunday by his special advisor on media and publicity, Musa Krishi. Political actors and elders in Rivers State are showing concern about the lingering political friction existing in the state between the governors Minalayi Fubara and his predecessor Nyesom Wike, the minister of the FCT. The past week has seen some pro-Wike commissioners resign from office, adding to those who previously threw in the towel after the governor stated he will be investigating governance in the state. Our correspondent, Bernard Akede, who has been following the developments from the Rivers State capital, now reports.
We will be setting a panel of inquiry to investigate the affair of governance.
This statement by Governor Fubara to investigate the affairs of governance in the state set the ball rolling for the series of events that took place in the past week, particularly the resignation of some commissioners who appeared to be loyalists of the former governor, Nyesom Wike. The political friction that has existed between the governor and his predecessor has in recent times been a cause for concern in the state and entire country, and the Rivers State Council of Elders is calling for a permanent resolution while saying those who resigned were never loyal to the sitting governor.
Most of the gentlemen and ladies who have left the cabinet clearly stated our loyalty is for the minister. Now, and that's why if that's the case, then you have no business at all having been in the cabinet of Minalayi Fubara. And you cannot complain that he wasn't giving you face and he wasn't giving you assignments, or he wasn't doing this, he wasn't doing that. Because there's no way he could do that. Because I'm sure the way you have spoken publicly to us, behind the scene, what things may have happened.
Concerns have been raised about how the former governor still has his hands in the affairs of the state, and the elders believe that while the former governor shows support, he should allow the current governor to do his job without interference.
Before Fubara came, the government was declaring 12 billion as internally generated revenue, and that is the structure we are talking about. Now we are hearing it was not even 12 billion that was generated, it's 25 billion that was generated, and that is what they are generating. So the total amount were not declared. From the 12 billion that was declared, you are giving the government only 5-6 billion, and the governor protested. That is the fight. So will you say he betrayed him? That you have ruled for 8 years, you've gone, and you don't allow the boy to rule, and you are the one to dictate how the internally generated revenue should be spent? You are the one to dictate how the federal allocation should be spent.
Still speaking on the issue, former governorship candidate Senator Magnus Abe said political misunderstandings happen all the time in governance. However, such misunderstandings should not be at the expense of the people and the state in general.
It is not in my place or in my hands to be able to proffer a solution in a place where even presidential intervention, in your own words, have not achieved the desired result. But what we can do as stakeholders is to continue to point out that as much as possible, peace is priceless, and without sacrifice, leadership without sacrifice is meaningless.
As for the indigents and residents of Rivers State, they believe this drama has directly or indirectly affected the smooth running of the state. All they now ask is for both parties to sheath their swords in the interest of the people.
All the two political fighters to sheath their sword so that the peace of mind, businesses and every transaction can be achieved in the state. And I will also urge the current governor, as he's fighting, they shouldn't, after succeeding the success of this fight tomorrow, become another cabal.
In less than 2 weeks, the governor will be celebrating 1 year in office. While one can say his first year has been riddled with political drama, he and indeed the people of the state will be hopeful that the next 3 years will be more peaceful. In Port Harcourt for News Central, I'm Bernard Akedi.
The presidential candidate of the Labour Party, LP, in the 2023 general election, Peter Obi, has paid visits to victims of the Kano mosque attack. Obi arrived in Kano on Sunday and moved from the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport to the Murtala Mohammed Specialist Hospital, where some of the victims are receiving treatment. He described the situation as very horrific and remain condemnable. He consoled the government and the people of Kano and urged all Nigerians to stand to fight such a senseless act. The Katsina state government says it is committed to ending banditry in the state. The state governor, while speaking to newsmen in Yola, the Adamawa state capital, says the state is willing to bring an end to banditry once and for all. He also threw his weight behind a call for state policing, saying it will help complement the existing security architecture around the country.
The state position on state police is to support it because it's really hard time now for us to have state police. And this is what happened in most of the developed countries. And I don't see why we shouldn't have a state police in Nigeria. And then for the bandit, I'm not afraid of the bandit. I'm not afraid of anybody. The bandit they were in my family house in the last 2-3 years where they killed my brother. We are same father, same mother. So I'm not new to the bandit attack. I'm not new to all those things, but we will fight them. No amount of threat can stop me from fighting the bandits.
The Borno state government, North Central Nigeria, has taken steps to support the commencement of academic activities at the newly established Federal College of Education, Goza. And this is part of the rebuilding efforts by the government and the healing the wounds inflicted on the state by insurgency. Our correspondent, Umaru Kirawa, tells us more.
The rocky and hilly town of Goza in Nigeria's Borno state. It used to be a dreaded area at the peak of the Boko Haram insurgency. The establishment of the Federal College of Education there is an important step in the state's effort to rebuild and strengthen the educational system, which suffered major setback through insurgency.
We hope to see that students are admitted to Federal College of Education Goza this academic session. And I want to commend the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu, for giving us the approval or the take-up of this very important school. So, inshallah, we hope academic activities will fully resume this academic session, no matter how small the quantum of students should be admitted.
The college is expected to play an important role in training and equipping the next generation of lecturers who will be instrumental in the recovery and development of the region. The government has approved 200 million naira to facilitate the college's operations and has also announced plans to construct a housing estate for the lecturers.
gashi yanzu an fara gyara Federal College of Education na Goza wanda shi gwamna wanda ba hakkinsa ba a taimako da kuma ya ga wannan abun ya yi taken off. Shi yanzu gashi ya fara su classroom, ana fencing, laboratories da sauransu gaba daya gashi nan ya fara. Ga shi kuma nursing school wanda ya mana alkawari muna gani yana ta tafiya har sama muka ci wannan hawa nawa ne za a yi haka.
In a continued effort to aid the post-insurgency recovery in Borno State, the government has announced plans to resettle more villages in Goza local government area.
We have identified some villages that are to be resettled in Goza local government area of Borno State, namely Teke, Modube, Bita, Wala A, Wala B, Ashigasha, Hambagda. These communities shall be resettled.
Improved security to aid farming activities for the people to eat what they are producing is a major concern now. Access roads to some of the villages and towns, particularly border communities in Goza, remains another nightmare. The healing process might take some time. However, the expectation of the people is that the government will continue to create conducive environment for development. In Goza for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
In the south of the continent, South Africa's former president Jacob Zuma put on a show of strength in the historic township of Soweto as he campaigned for votes in the build-up to the May 29 general election. Zuma's decision to hold its biggest campaign rally in Soweto was significant because it is a stronghold of the ANC in South Africa's economic heartland of Gauteng. Meanwhile, MK has set itself a target of winning a 2/3 majority in the election, and a social research foundation which has been tracking polls daily puts the ANC support at 40%, down from 57% it got in the 2019 election. And to talk about this, I'm joined by Professor of Politics and International Relations at the University of Johannesburg, Sifamandla Zondi. Good morning from here. Glad to have you join me.
Good morning and good morning to the viewers.
Let me start with the alarming numbers we saw at Orlando Stadium over the weekend. I mean, full to capacity. What does this mean for former President, Zuma across the country?
Yes, it is an unsurprising turnout. President Zuma is a very popular figure. He has a strong constituency that has been with him now for a long time. Even as the president of now the governing party, the ANC, he was able to draw a lot of support to the ANC. And of course, a lot of the support had to do with him and his abilities. And it's no surprise in this particular case, because we have seen that since the party launched in December, that there has been a groundswell of support, at least in 3 provinces in South Africa, that has been growing, but more principally in the KwaZulu-Natal province where he comes from, and in the Gauteng province where they launched the manifesto yesterday. So it's nothing of a surprise. It's the same constituency of generally working class, black people, young ones, and increasingly black middle class that is frustrated by the circumstances of low economic growth, weak economic opportunities for many people, but who also feel that Zuma has been dealt with badly by his party.
Now, Soweto seems to be a stronghold for ANC and also home to President Ramaphosa. If the numbers we saw on Saturday are anything to go by, should the ANC be worried?
Oh yes, of course. The ANC must be worried by emergence of any party that works in its constituency at a time when the ANC has been in decline for a period of time. So it cannot afford even losing 1 seat or 2 seats in the National Assembly, and therefore should always be worried. But this is even more worrying when it is a member of the ANC who has not resigned from the ANC, remains a member of the ANC, and he's now leading what would eat away from a big chunk of the ANC support and might actually put the ANC's victory in jeopardy. It must be seriously worried. And knowing former President Jacob Zuma, they know how well he can do this game, and they should definitely be worried. I would have thought that long before now, they would have been reaching out to him and talking him out of this, because it is damaging for the ANC. It's a huge turnout, and it's generally ANC support that you see coming to support Zuma, because he said he is not leaving the ANC, but is going to campaign against the current leadership of the ANC. So that makes it very complicated.
Just to give you an update on the breaking story just reaching us now, the Constitutional Court has ruled that former President Jacob Zuma is not eligible to stand for this month's elections. Now, the court delivered judgment to the IEC's appeal of the Electoral Court order that allowed Zuma to remain on the MK party's candidates list. How do you react to this?
Yes, I'm not very surprised because Zuma has a conviction, and that conviction would prevent him from going to national parliament. But it doesn't prevent him from running these elections, from contesting in this election and doing all that they need to do. Just that after the election, he will not qualify as a member of parliament. Anyway, it would not make sense for him to abandon all his presidential benefits that he now enjoys as a retired president for a mere salary of a member of parliament. I suspect that he never was intending to go to parliament anyway, but was intending to put this party into parliament. But what this will do then, Zuma really thrives on being a victim. Now, this will then again be used to mobilize people in support of his party, because he will be projected as being a victim of effort to try and exclude him. So close after such a big turnout in Soweto yesterday. So politically, it will make things even more difficult for the ANC.
Well, time like this will tell, but thank you so much for your insight on the program. Professor of Politics, International Relations at the University of Johannesburg, Sifa Mandla Zondi. Thank you once again.
All right, thank you so much.
In Central Africa, the head of the African Union Commission, Musa Faki Mahamat, has expressed great concern following an attempted coup in the Democratic Republic of Congo on Sunday. In a statement, the AU Commission chair strongly condemned the attempted coup d'etat and welcomed the control of the situation announced by the country's defense and security forces. He expressed his delight that all the leaders of the Republican institutions are safe and sound, as he condemned any use of force to change the constitution order or any African state whatsoever. The DR Congo military said on Sunday it had foiled a coup bid near the offices of President Felix Tshisekedi and the capital Kinshasa, involving foreigners and Congolese. Shots were heard near the Palace de la Nation that houses the president's offices at the time of the coup attempt in the early hours of Sunday, according to a number of sources. Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi, the country's foreign minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian, and other government officials have been found dead at the helicopter crash site. They were found dead on Monday after hours of long search through foggy, mountainous region of the country's northwest. Raisi died at the age of 63. The governor of Iran's East Azerbaijan province and other officials and bodyguards were also reported dead in the crash. Our former Chief Justice, Raisi, was touted as a potential successor to Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the 85-year-old supreme leader of Iran. Dominican Republic President Luis Abinader has been re-elected for another 4-year term, an endorsement of his handling of the economy and tough policies towards migration from Haiti. As the number of ballots counted past 21%, his main rival, former President Leonel Fernandez, considered defeat and congratulated Abinader.
Nuestro país brilla con luz propia. Es el liderazgo de un país fuerte. La República Dominicana ha escrito hoy una página de avance democrático y los resultados hablan por sí solos. Con sinceridad.
Stories. The Golden Eaglets picked up their first win of the WAFL B Under-17 Championship after a lone goal defeat of Niger Republic at the University of Accra Stadium on Sunday, despite being reduced to 10 men. Rafael Adams' powerful header in the 31st minute was the difference between the two West African neighbors in the match in which Nigeria played the final 27 minutes with 10 men after Chibuike Okorie was shown the red card. Victory remains the five-time world champions' climb to 4 points, same as Burkina Faso, ahead of the closing day of Group B attrition on Wednesday when the Eaglets confront Group Whipping Boys Togo at the Accra Sports Stadium, while Burkina Faso square up to 3-pointer Niger Republic at the University of Accra Stadium. The Eaglets will end their take in Togo in their final group game against Togo on Wednesday, 22nd of May. Nigeria's under-17 women's side, Flamingos, will clash with Liberia in the final round of qualifiers for the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup finals. Nigeria reached the final round of the African qualification series for this year's FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup finals after a 6-0 defeat of Burkina Faso at the MKO Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, on Saturday evening. The Liberian girls scraped through the final round of the qualifiers on the away goal rule and will host Nigeria in the first leg on Saturday, 8th of June. The return leg comes up a week later at the MKO Abiola National Stadium in Abuja. Ahead of the Nigeria National League Super 8 playoff, the management of Sokoto United has unveiled a new manager who will steer the club. The club parted ways with Masur Abdullahi, who left the club after having a misunderstanding with the club hierarchy. The club on Sunday afternoon unveiled Peter Ajani as the club's new gaffer. The young tactician is expected to take charge of the team immediately. Sokoto United will face Sporting Supreme in their opening game of the Super 8 playoff. Manchester City fans have reacted to their club historic 4th consecutive Premier League title win after beating West Ham 3-1 at home, edging out Arsenal by 2 points. The victory marks City's 6th title in 7 seasons, joining an elite group of teams achieving 3 consecutive wins. Next, they aim for a historic domestic double against Manchester United in the FA Cup final on May 25th. While City triumphed, North London club Arsenal missed out on the first Premier League title since 2004, despite beating Everton as Manchester City took the glory.
It's won 4 in a row. No one's ever won 4 in a row, and it's impossible, you know. And that just shows you how dominant we are. Not only to
means the world, top dog now, top dog in this country.
The team have four leagues in a row. That's the first time ever in the UK history that we've ever done that. Pep's got to be nipping on those heels of Fergie, I think, coming up soon. He's still the Premier League master, but Pep's got to be nipping on them heels now.
The exact same thing. I think when we scored the first goal, I reckon, you know what, we've got a chance in it now. We've got the hand on the trophy. But when we conceded, when it was 2-1, obviously the nerves were up. But I reckon in the second half, Pep Guardiola did his job. He spoke to the manager, he spoke to the players, and gave them the confidence to push up and score. And at the end of the day, I think it was a good game. It was a brilliant game. There's nothing else to say about that. But tonight it's going to be a great night in Manchester. You know, big milestone. We've won 4 trophies in a row, the first Premier League teams to ever do that. So no, I'm loving it.
And that's all on the news at this hour. But before we go, let's take a look again at some of the major stories. Nigeria poised to slash 6 trillion naira fuel imports bill. African Union has condemned DR Congo coup bid. Iran's President Raisi and other officials have been confirmed dead at crash site. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen and do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Abo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adeduba.